Good afternoon and welcome to Antithesis.
Antithesis is a weekly radio soiree of stimulating commentary and entertaining conversation discussing issues of importance in our daily lives.
Antithesis airs Sunday afternoon at 5:30.
I'm Richard Curtis.
I'm Leo Greip-Ruiz.
The opinions expressed on Antithesis are the opinions of the person speaking them,
and do not necessarily represent the views of the board, staff, or management of KGNU or of us here at Antithesis.
Because I might not agree with him.
And I might not agree with him.
You weren't even recording.
Welcome to Antithesis. We can try with the tape running this time.
Okay, folks, for those of you that weren't listening,
before Leo started the tape,
you heard exactly what we had so far. You have to use your own imagination because we had a stimulating conversation going on here at the second annual KGNU Holiday Crafts Fair. Richard, how you doing today?
KGNU and Boulder Museum of
and
Contemporary
Boulder,
Arts.
B-Mocha, that's right, B-Mocha. We are in sight of Santa Claus. You may hear the bell of the kiddie train going in the background momentarily. We are sitting here with a stained glass worker named Kelley, who wanted to talk originally about hockey, which, you know, we all know the kind of reputation hockey has as a sport, but then decided that she'd rather talk about why she's angry with the post office because it did not provide her with a non-hostile work environment, which, the way my mind operates, makes me wonder, do hockey players have in their contracts a stipulation that they will have a non-hostile work environment?
I'm perfectly willing to take it on, when I play hockey, but...
Oh, you play hockey?
Yeah, I play hockey too.
And was hockey playing not enough for you to get out your frustrations at the post office?
I wasn't playing hockey at the time.
I used to play hockey.
Yeah.
Well, there it is.
Well, I play offense right now. I'm playing women's beginning roller hockey.
Oh, roller hockey? Oh, is that like roller ball?
Yeah. No, it's like hockey, but we play 4-on-4.
Does it have anything in common with roller derby?
No, not really.
That would be different.
See, because I was thinking that it occurred to me at one time that supposing that, what's his name? The really crazy, really good basketball player guy, Dennis Rodman, and it occurred to me that if Dennis Rodman got out of couldn't play professional sports anymore, or that type of sport, well, that's what I was thinking, was that he and Tanya Harding could get this
oh, nice.
This roller derby thing going.
Wow.
I used to pay absolutely no attention to sports. Now, okay, the classic leftist political position on sports is
it's a distraction.
And it is the true
opium of the people.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it. Now, about it was, I forget how many years ago, but about 12, 13 years ago, I was riding around with two members of the Sandinista government of Nicaragua. I was riding around in a van. They were on a speaking tour with a man who was the chief judge of the Court of Criminal Appeals, in Nicaragua, and another one who was a justice on the Supreme Court, and both of them had been involved in writing the Revolutionary Constitution. And I told them I want to learn about broad-based United Front organizing. I want to do coalitional work. Mm-hmm. So they checked me out all during the course of the day, and finally at some point they said, we went to a college. We went to Colorado College. And there was a football game going on, and we got there early. They wanted to take a little look, so I talked to the ticket taker. They let us go in, and we were watching football in the Coliseum. And then one of these guys said to me, "What do you think of sports?" And I said, "It's the true opiate of the masses." And they both laughed, and they said, "That's what all you guys say."
Oh, you guys!
All you guys referring to
northern guys?
That's it.
Okay.
And then they said, "Now, all those people out there, do they know who you are?" I said, "No." He said, "But if they saw you in a public situation, they would know that you're a political person." I said, "Yes." They said, "Therefore, you should become involved in sports." because then they would know that you are one of them. If you want to organize, those are the people. If you want to organize,
these are wise men.
and ever since then, I have checked out. I watch enough basketball to get by. I watch enough football to get by.
What about hockey?
A little bit of hockey from time to time. I was into pinball when I was, and to me, like hockey and pro football, at least have got that pinball thing in common. Where you kind of like take these physical objects and mash them together.
Yeah. Well,
faces, fists.
Our league is actually a no-check league, but there's incidentals. They call them that. Where people, because we're beginners, we can't stop real well. We smash into each other. People go down.
Yeah.
There's some of that stuff. There's a little bit of aggression going on, and a little bit of elbowing, tripping. You can't help it.
Well, it wouldn't be hockey without it.
Right, but you're really not supposed to.
Why do you...
I want to hear about the post office.
Oh, the post office.
Tell us about the post office.
All right, without mentioning names right now, of course. Was at work one day, on the clock, pretty much just coming on to work when a fellow worker who was just about done with work was getting off, and he was very, very drunk while he was at work, on the clock. And he was getting ready to leave, and I said, you can't leave like that. You need to drink something. He lives in the suburb of Denver.
Yeah, he said, I already did.
Yeah. Coffee or soda or something. Why don't you let me buy you something, because, you really shouldn't drive. And so we went to the break room, and he refused coffee, blah, blah, blah. And next thing I know, he was coming at me saying, give me a kiss, and then I'll go. That kind of thing, And I was saying no. And basically, I wasn't afraid for my life or anything like that, but found that pretty upsetting. Kiss me and I'll go, give me a kiss kind of thing. And then I left, and later on the workroom floor...
Especially when it's a drunk that you know is going to clamp on like a lamprey,
Yeah. He's a married man, I know that. I don't want any part of that. And later on the workroom floor, he was following me around. To keep me from walking away from him, he put his hands into the back pockets of my jeans.
Huh.
Yeah. And, and then what followed was, and I pretty much handled it then, and thought I was going to be okay, but when I saw him again, I felt really uncomfortable. Didn't want to be around him, didn't want to be in the room with him. And, but what actually angers me more than that, once that all passed, it was the way the post office handled the situation.
Okay. Yeah, how does that work?
It didn't.
Well, okay, what do you do?
Well, you're supposed to tell somebody.
Report the incident,
right. And I didn't want to. I decided I wasn't going to.
Okay.
And then about 3 months later, there was a disgusting sign, with sexual connotations on the workroom floor about this big. And I got upset, and I said something about not having a sense of humor because I'd been harassed. And so my supervisor found out that something had happened to me before. And he freaked out. He didn't know what to do. He called the station manager, and all of a sudden it's like, you better tell us what happened. And I said, I had decided I didn't want to tell. And I told one supervisor of mine in confidence as a friend so that in case something happened again, I would be protected.
Okay.
And so they held it over my head that, well, you told this supervisor, and it's his, as a supervisor, it's his responsibility to come forward this, and he could lose his job if you don't come forward, the two of you.
Right.
So there it was, over my head, this guy's job, so you better tell. So it's 3 months later, and they're telling me I have to tell what happened.
Right.
And so I did, and they totally blew it off.
Which was that part of why you didn't feel that it was worth your time to bring it up in the first place? Why? Well, clearly that's inappropriate behavior. Right. So why did you decide not to pursue having the problem taken care of?
Well, because this guy and I had been acquaintances at work. We were able to talk and laugh and have a working relationship. And when it first happened, I thought, like I told you, it was going to be okay. But then I realized after seeing him a couple days later, like the next week, that I didn't feel comfortable around him. And it just started angering me after a while, thinking I should have said something, because I'd see him walking around, and if I saw him looking at me, it would kind of make me panicky. And I didn't know what he was thinking, or you know, I didn't know if he was thinking, oh my God, is she going to say something? You know, you have 45 days to report it.
Oh.
And basically, when they made me tell, it had been 3 months. So
Right.
they dismissed it. You know, I filed EEO because that was the only thing I could do. I reported to my station manager. He was supposed to, you know, do an informal interrogation, like.
Well, an investigation of what went down.
Right. Didn't happen. I was finally assigned a harassment investigator 3 months after they finally made me come forward. He interviewed me for more than an hour, said he wanted to talk to me again after he talked to the guy and my witnesses and people that could say that guy was drunk at work quite a bit, and said he was going to get back with me probably in 2 to 3 weeks. After 5 weeks not hearing from him, I called him, left a message. He didn't return my call. After 7 weeks, didn't return my call. After 9 weeks, my mother called. Still, he's supposed to be my investigator.
Right.
So basically, they just did nothing. You know, I think the guy was panicked for a while about his job. You know, and I think he probably stopped drinking at work for a while because he was worried, but who knows what he's... I had other women tell me that they did it to him, too. I mean, that he did it to them, too. I went to one woman and she said, I know exactly who you're talking about. I didn't even tell her who it was.
Did any of these people?
Joanne, come join us.
One woman wrote a statement and had it put in her file, but when...
Joanne's jumping in to join. Say hi, Joanne.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah, no, this is welcome to Antithesis, Joanne.
Joanne, this is Kelley.
Hi, Kelley.
And we're doing a holiday special, and we started out talking about hockey and sports and how Kelley is a glass worker who works with her mother and makes mirrors and tables and is really pissed off at the post office. And so we were comparing her playing roller hockey with being angry at the post office and an incident of sexual harassment that occurred to her. We're doing like, you know, one of those upbeat holiday special shows. So we wanted to just call you over and see what you have to say about sports,
Bobby
holidays.
Hall was a personal friend of mine.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I met Brett Hall when he was like 3 years old.
Wow.
Probably not as impressive then.
Now you got to understand, Joanne's body language at this point is like poised. It's like on the edge of
One of my
the
big claim to
20-meter
fame.
board, the edge of the 20-meter board, ready to do
I
a
had a picture of him with his
triple
arm around me.
Luganus.
Wow.
So that's the hockey portion. The post office is that...
Oh, guys, we're doing a checklist. This is good.
Everyone's got a story.
I felt bad every time I've dropped a letter in the box for the last week. And I just mailed off an 80-pound thing, which I hope it gets to Ohio. And what was the third issue that you were talking about?
I don't know.
Sexual harassment. No one has sexually harassed me for years, so...
Good.
Yeah, it doesn't happen to me. I don't know why.
Well, you work in community radio.
Yeah, you're around nice people, and besides, you look like you punch somebody.
You're really not taping this show, are you?
Yes,
We
we
really are
are.
taping the show.
Okay, well, it's been nice to see you.
I'm amazed.
It's nice of you to drop by here amid all of the green and red balloons, helium balloons surrounding us, candy cane things. There's little rows of Christmas decorations, big gold balls about 6 inches in diameter in rows going down the aisleways. There's pottery,
It's the holidays here.
glasswork. There's all kinds of ceramics and stitched stuff and people stumbling into the microphone stands, and Santa's right there, not more than, what is this, about 10, 15 yards away. Santa Claus is right over there, 15
But he's
yards
ignoring
away.
us.
Well, that's because we haven't gone up to Santa. Oh, we can have Santa Claus on Antithesis.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, that's a lot.
That is a lot.
That would be
You
a
might
lot.
want to cheer
Well, I want to go back
things
to the
up.
post office.
Oh, gosh.
Did anyone
I
else?
was doing color.
Well, you can keep doing that again.
Okay, but I'll tell you what happened with this other woman
Okay.
who said she'd
Like,
written
yeah,
a
it was where I was
statement
going.
about this guy doing this to her,
Right.
and she put it in her file. So I spoke to her. I said, I heard that maybe you were harassed by this guy and wondered if you would like to write me a statement or something to go along with my case. And she said, yeah, I wrote one. It's in my file. Let me talk to my union representative, and I'll see if I can get you a copy or something. So I called her back, and she says, oh, it's not in my file anymore.
Oh.
She changes her story. All of a sudden, yeah.
Huh.
Oh, no. And then I heard that the postmaster interviewed her, the postmaster of Boulder, and said, Oh no, he didn't harass me. It wasn't a sexual thing. She knew who I was talking about. I didn't even say his name. She knew who I was talking about.
Right.
She changed her story because she wanted to try to be like a supervisor. So she didn't want to make any waves. I was as casual. I was a temporary help person. This guy that did this to me was like a union vice president for the mail handlers here. So, you know.
Right. You probably were, since you were temporary, you probably weren't in the union.
No.
So
You're not
it
allowed.
wasn't even an option to
Right.
pursue that.
But I was a very good worker. All my supervisors.
Do you get the impression that this is an example of the systematic problem that exists? Or do you get the impression this was isolated to this individual?
No, not at all. Because I myself have been witness to many sexual signs posted on the work floor. You know, that what guys sketch up and stick on the wall where they work, and newspaper articles doctored up, you know, and really awful things. One wall had about 8 of them up on it.
Do they have policies about appropriate things? And so those policies just don't matter because
and you know
obviously
what?
no one's enforcing it.
When I first saw the big sign on the floor, that made me upset about the whole thing. When I told a supervisor, I went to him and I said that there's a really, inappropriate sign on the workroom floor and it needs to be taken away. And he did. He took it away right away. But you know what a coworker said to me? It's always about what you want, Kelley. And that's what drove me over the edge. That's when I said,
Like
maybe you wouldn't have,
work environment.
maybe you really wouldn't have a sense of humor about it anymore if some drunk guy came after you and then you were totally ignored. Well, I hadn't been ignored at that point. But here I was all freaked out. I ended up quitting because I thought the guy could lose his job. He's a hunter. He's a drinker. He's probably going to come kill me or poison my animals or something. And the big joke is nothing happened. I was so freaked out, crying, and I just quit like 3 days later. I couldn't take it. I started hearing things about, like, she's fabricating things. She's never going to win. You hear these things through the grapevine, all this stuff. And I thought, that's what happens to victims,
Yeah.
They always say that. You're victimized again, when it happens. And now I look back and I think I should have said something right away. I should have taken care of it. As much as hard as it can be at that time. I mean, it's not scary to me anymore. It's just an anger thing now. I mean, it's frustrating. You tell people the story and they're like, I can't believe it. And then you tell a postal official that, or an investigator, and you think, when is somebody going to say, God, that's really awful that happened to you, and let's fix that. No, nowhere down the line has that happened. You keep thinking, maybe somebody. Nope.
Have you ever had any experiences like that in the past? Before? It was kind of a rude awakening. Yeah. So Leo was dealing with some customers there for a minute.
Well, yeah, I was showing stuff. You see, we are at the craft show, and I am here vending my wares.
We're working.
But do you want to talk about hockey? Because this is kind of
hockey
depressing.
Well, I mean, it was pretty good. Okay.
My face is all red now.
Well, yeah,
It is. But you know what? I've considered going to the media because I know somebody in a newspaper.
I think you have.
Well, I know.
This is the beginning. The beginning.
Because you think, who's going to help me? No one is going to help me. Who is going to finally say, you were wrong and let's do something about this? No one is willing to take a stand at the post office.
There's this great movie, and I wish I could remember the name of it. A Chinese movie, that woman, what's her name? Gong Li, I think is her name.
Chinese movie?
There's this great Chinese movie fairly recently, by the same guy that did the Red Lantern or something like that. I mean, he's done a bunch of movies recently. And he did this great film with this woman who up until now has played these like just super glamorous, Chinese willowy beauty women,
Right.
And this time she did a peasant in the sticks. And just the way she moved, it was wonderful. Her husband gets beat up by the village chief, who hits him in the groin in an uncalled for way and hurts him badly. Injures him, or he's laid up for a few months, right? So the wife then goes about trying to get justice, which involves numerous trips to the provincial capital to see all these party officials. And what she goes through is amazing, and the whole thing is this whole story of what she goes through to get justice. And it's interesting that at the very end, what happens is after when they have resolved it finally through following a natural course of events, what she had gotten going in much the same way that you did by saying something inside of the bureaucracy, got this whole other thing going. So once they had already resolved it and everything was okay, then the authorities came in and took the guy away. You know, and what made the film even more interesting is that the subcurrent in the whole thing is that this actually is her brother.
Oh.
That you only figure that out from hearing his kids call her auntie.
Oh.
That's how you figure
The
it out.
bad guy was her brother.
Wow.
Yeah, you see. So this has very little except as sort of an interesting conversational way to make people forget the depths of morass that Richard, the prime reporter, has taken us to here by insisting on causing Kelley to dredge up this tale of woe. Richard, you should be ashamed of yourself.
And at
No,
Christmas.
don't be.
And this is our happy holiday
No,
show.
it's actually good to tell
What am I
people
doing?
because to make people aware of what's
Oh
going
yeah,
on.
I think so. It's important. Like everyone, all of our listeners around here right now, to look at that tree. You see that pile of presents by the tree? Think of how many of those presents came to you in the mail. And you realize that this drunken, loutish, lewd, potentially dangerous creature who continues to work at the post office, which Kelley wisely has left, may have had his grubby hands on that package that you brought into your family bosom.
Oh,
And you think I'm the one who's introducing the
I
downer
think
to
we're going
the
to be in
show.
trouble.
Jeez.
I
Whoa.
mean,
It's worse.
the only worse, you know what's worse?
Consumerism really seems to be the obvious topic.
Okay,
You're hanging out
consumerism.
selling
It's
stuff
very,
at
very
Christmas,
strange.
right?
Now, okay, a lot of vendors, the way that this thing worked is that we were coming in here starting the 28th, the day after Thanksgiving, because that's the busiest weekend, and that, I understand, was like absolutely the
I was
worst
here.
over here. Okay, you were here.
For those first 3 days.
Well, the way I figured, the way
Yes.
I thought, was that the kind of goods that we have here, individual, handmade, you never see nothing like it,
Right.
kind of stuff, is precisely what people who would go shopping the day after Thanksgiving do not want to deal with.
Well, yeah, they're going for the sale.
They're going, and they're also going to be identified as the early shopper crowd, which means, to my mind, that they're getting ego gratification out of falling into a certain consumer bag.
Now, that's depressing.
And the bag is go buy mass-produced stuff, snatch it off the shelves. You know, if it's in bubble pack and shrink wrap, then it's cool. And I didn't think that they would pay any attention to people like us. I, on the other hand,
Well, you were right.
But now the question is whether part 2 of this thing is going to work.
Right.
Whether hanging out here and talking to people the way that all of us have been to explain the difference between what we have and what the mall
Well,
has.
it's been picking up.
It has been picking
Yes.
up. And of course, to have picked up in this case merely means to have to be blinking its eyes and holding its head semi-upright.
Yeah. Well, they've done better on the advertising, and it is getting closer to Christmas, so people are starting
Yes.
to.
Well, who's advertising?
Well, it's
You are, aren't
publicizing.
Well, I know we are, but
Well,
is
we're
anyone else?
publicizing.
Oh, in the papers.
I really
It's in
don't
the
Yeah.
know.
papers? Oh, I hadn't seen it in the
They put more
papers.
signs out front and through the mall,
Well, it strikes me that it's an interesting contradiction between the whole purpose of the mall, which is mostly national chains, although some local stores. But
Right.
there's all these people paying rent, Garp Brothers and
Right.
Sears and all, and then there's you all, press people sneaking in, stealing them holiday dollars away from Sears. So don't you feel ashamed?
I didn't think of it that way. Well,
They're trying to steal the holiday dollars away from Sears.
why would the mall allow us to be here then?
Well, I think it's a feel-good kind of thing.
Oh.
Well, no, I mean, someone's paying. I think KGNU and BMocha were paying rent,
Right.
which is why you all are paying
Right.
rent. So, I mean, it's a moneymaker for the
And it
mall.
might also be a write-off. You see, because
This is
these are
Leo's theory.
501c3s,
Yeah.
the mall could perhaps, I don't know how this works, we should find out, But the mall could be writing it off by, depending on the square footage that they're giving to the 501c3s.
Well,
Right,
that's a
'cause it's worth
selfish
a
way
higher
to.
value.
That's a selfish way to look at it, though. I mean, you allow other stores. You're not just.
Selfish of me to look at it?
Well, no, just that.
Applying selfishness on the mall's part.
Yeah.
Ah.
You know, I mean, while you have other stores here, why not one more?
One more big one. It's a big store too, isn't it?
Well, it's not a powerhouse.
How many vendors are there? Do you have any idea?
I do not. No.
More than 2
There's probably 10 to 15.
at any given time.
Yeah.
And then they're rotating, aren't they?
Yes.
But you're one of those, the holdouts.
No, I was
for the
here the first
beginning.
3 days.
Oh, you're just back.
Yeah, we booked 2 sets of time.
Ah.
Yeah, blocks
okay.
of time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're
Why-
hoping to make some money this time since we didn't last time.
And you work in glass.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Why is that?
Stained glass. We received some stained glass gifts a few years back, and we really liked them, and we thought, hey, I bet we can do that. So we did it. Taught ourselves how to do it.
And have you been...
Now Leo's drinking.
Yeah, soda water. Actually, I'm pouring mineral water into the dregs of a cappuccino.
Oh, that's gotta be good.
Making something that is like, yeah, it's kind of like a coffee tinted, what do they call that? Plain?
Seltzer water.
Seltzer, plain. They got some name for it.
Sparkling water.
So what about hockey? This is a Boulder thing? City,
It's in
City
Thornton.
League or
No.
Thornton.
But we should kind of make an announcement for women who want to play beginning roller hockey
Oh,
because
women who
we have
want
a
to play
league.
beginning
Go,
roller
girl.
hockey. You know, one thing that in our market research, that in terms of Antithesis, that we
market
have a
research?
higher density of women who want to, like, at least pick up cudgels and
Beat us?
strike things. Well, you.
Oh, just me. Leo's much more endearing.
So actually, yeah, I am. We have more women that would like to play roller hockey listening to our program than anyone.
I bet that's true.
It's
So what is it?
for beginners.
Okay.
We have 4 teams in the league right now, but if we get more women, we'll have more teams. We play Tuesday nights. Games are at 6:30 and 7:30. We play 3 15-minute periods.
Do you practice?
Some teams
You wear
arrange.
helmets?
You have to. Yes, we're helmets with cages on the face.
Well, what's the investment?
It's $65 to join an 8-week league.
Per person?
Yes,
Ooh, boy.
$25 to USA Hockey for a yearly membership, and it's a secondary mandatory insurance, and then all your gear. You can wear street blades. You don't have to have hockey blades. You need to have full pads from the knee down. You need to have hockey gloves, elbow pads, and a helmet with a cage.
What kind of blades you carry when you play hockey?
Roller blades.
Oh.
Not Bowie knives or anything. That's a whole different sport. That would be more like rollerball, though.
It is a tremendous workout. At the end of the game, you're absolutely drenched. You know, heavy breathing. It's a workout.
Purge the
Many of
body
the
of all
women,
those toxins.
we have
More,
mothers
you know,
playing with daughters. On my team, we have a 17-year-old
has
and her
more
mother.
listeners that are thoroughly drenched and what was that other word you used? Exhilarated?
No, breathing heavy.
Oh, yeah, after the show.
There you go. We have that in common.
Okay.
We have that in common.
So who do they call? Let's say someone wants to do this. They feel like beating someone.
It's called Roller Express.
Roller
I have a number,
Express.
a phone number.
Oh, what's the phone number?
428-6268.
428-6268?
Yes.
428-6268?
Yes.
428. 60.
268.
Okay. So when's the